When your gut feels off, your whole day can feel off. Activia probiotic yogurts and dailies are a quick, easy, and tasty way to up your gut health game every day. They're deliciously smooth and creamy and packed with billions of live and active probiotics. Your gut is where it all begins, so start with Activia. Enjoying Activia twice a day for 2 weeks as part of a balanced diet and healthy lifestyle can help reduce the frequency of minor digestive discomfort.
Hey, it's Austin James. Yes, I'm living with diabetes, but it doesn't have to define me. Thanks to the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor, I get real-time glucose readings throughout the day. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor is small and easy to wear, giving me the freedom to focus on my life as a parent and a musician. Now this is progress. You can get a free sensor at freestylelibre.us.
Offer available for people who qualify. Visit myfreestyle.us to see all terms and conditions. Certain exclusions apply. Data on file. Abbott Diabetes Care. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
The Dental Download podcast is your source for insight from conversations with fellow dentists, specialists, and leaders in the industry. With new episodes every Monday morning, I'm your host, Dr. Haley. Let's get into this week's episode.
Okay, so this is probably my funnest episode we've ever had. We have Dr. Chad here. He is my boss. He owns this practice, but we're going to talk a little bit about Centreville Family Dentistry,
yes, ma'am.
This first episode. And then we're also going to have another episode about your journey as a dentist, kind of how you got to where you are. So with CFD, maybe give people some background. When did you come here? What has the progress been like with the practice to get where it is today?
Happy to do it. First off, gentle listeners of Dr. Haley's, congratulations. Because how long have we worked together now?
6 months-ish.
6 months. If you're coming to Dr. Haley for entertainment, wisdom, life guidance, whatever it is, any of those three, how to make a methodical approach to decision making, like you picked the right one. Because it's been awesome to see you integrate into this place so quickly. And I don't know how this worked for all the other guests that may be watching or not. Dr. Haley has stepped up her game. I mean, she sent a really nice car to get me for this interview. It's been pretty amazing. So I appreciate it very much. And thanks for having me on. This is going to be amazing. I appreciate the time to sit with you. What was the first question?
How did you get here with the practice? Yeah, just how did CFD start out and how did it get to where it is today?
Let's do it. So CFD, Centreville Family Dentistry, where we are sitting now, we are in the waiting room of Centreville Family Dentistry. This started in 1983, so way before me. I was born in 87. But a guy named Dr. Shields started this practice in 1983 in a one room. I think he rented it from a medical doctor. So basically the medical doctor called. They knew each other from a friend or something and said, hey, call me crazy, but I think a dentist would be good in this town. And he rented it, started it up. He grew it to about, I think, 6 ops, 2,000 square feet from 1983 to 2013. The way I got here was 2 months before dental school was done. I didn't have someone like Dr. Haley in my life. I didn't have you like mentoring and saying like, hey, you got to figure stuff out. So I figured like, oh, I need to get a job. And I knew I wanted to be in Kalamazoo because my brother lives in Kalamazoo. My parents live in Cassopolis. And so I literally brought up Google Maps and I started cold calling offices. And I just said, hey, I had a spiel. My name's Dr. Chad. I'm going to graduate soon from Ohio State. I'm looking for a job in the area because my family's here. I'd like the job to also have the opportunity to buy in. And I just did that, like 3 hours one night. I think Dr. Shields was maybe the second or third doctor I called. And he said, actually, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Why don't you come visit? And that was it. I had, from Columbus, this is 5 hours. So I got here by scheduling like 6 interviews in a row. And then I would drive from Columbus and then I would go to each interview. And this was the second interview. So I'd already done like 3 or 4 phone call the same stuff you and I did, like talk on the phone, all that stuff. There was a couple good prospects. And then this one, when I came to it, you guys probably can't see it if we're watching video or if you're just listening, but this is in a strip mall in a small town of 1,400 people. And when I got here, I was like, I don't know if this is the right spot for me. Because you remember it, right? Mm-hmm. What's it look like when you come here?
Yeah, it's a little different.
It's underwhelming would be the word, right?
Yeah.
Initially, that's what it looked like. I mean, we've renovated and all that stuff now, but you meet the people that work here. The first people I met here was actually their dog. So when I walked in the room, their dog was in and ran to me and jumped on me. And essentially, to shorten the story, I canceled all the other interviews and said, I found the office. I'm good. So I didn't go to the other dentist's office. That's how I ended up here. And then a year and a half later, Dr. Shields and I decided, like, he's ready to retire, I'm ready, let's do this. And I purchased a practice. And then from there, my wife is a dentist also. She came on, I think like a year later, she came on. And we started growing slowly but surely until 2019 when we doubled in size. So we actually did a construction project and an expansion, and that's the size we are now.
Nice.
That's how it started.
Nice. How did you know what type of practice you were looking for when you came, you saw Dr. Shields, you met the people here? What made it feel special to you or different?
The people. I think that was the big one. I mean, you guys all know this. I'm sure that the listeners know this, but we are the dentists. The people are really what drive us and support our mission. And the minute I met them, I actually met patients too. And I knew I wanted to be in a place where, number one, you can make an impact. Number two, you had skin in the game because you were connected to the community and everybody knew your stuff. And then the people that work with you were supportive and positive, and they didn't look at it like it was an inconvenience that you were coming. And it was like literally check all the above. Everything was great. And then I also knew, which I know you probably, well, maybe not, you don't seem like you struggle with much, but sometimes the decisions that you have to struggle with is this doctor going to help grow with me? Or is this doctor going to be someone that keeps me down low until he's ready to leave and then gives me permission to move? And from the start, Dr. Shields was pure support. So that's how I knew. Yeah. And then, like you can probably tell pretty quickly what's going on. And that was a big one, was just, this feels like a good spot to be. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can relate to that too. I was like, no, like this is special. This is something different, especially when you've seen some other places. You just can compare and contrast a little bit with that too. So when you have something to compare it to, it makes it way easier. So yeah, that is a very good point, is you gotta like see a few of them to know which one feels right for you. And you mentioned mission a little bit. So what would you say is your personal mission as a dentist? And then CFD, what is our mission here? Sweet. So my personal mission is to have a thriving dental practice that fits into a lifestyle so it doesn't feel like a burden. That's the basic way to think about it. I mean, I think one of the hardest things when you get into a profession that involves giving so much of yourself is you have to make sure it's giving while also providing for you and giving you energy. If it's just sucking life out of you, if it's just sucking away your energy, eventually it becomes a burden. So the whole operating system, I guess, that would be behind the scenes of this office is it's all based on the concept that this place should nourish you and energize you more so than suck the life out of you. I mean, so like, I know people that aren't listening might not know what time we're doing. We just did 8 hours of work, 8.5 hours of work. It ain't slow around here, right? You don't seem tired. I'm not tired, right? Yeah. Like that's how it should work. It shouldn't be, oh my God, the day is over and I'm exhausted and I argued with 7 people today and everything is terrible and I'm going to go home and do it all again tomorrow. So, and that was not all the time, right? I didn't do that at the beginning of the practice because so much of it is how you think about it. But that is really when I started to discover the reason I like dentistry so much, that was it. Is if you do it the right way, because I do think there's a right way to do it, everybody wins. Everybody gets healthier. They get healthier faster. They spend less money, but they give you plenty of money to make a good living. All the patients and all the team members also have plenty of things to be proud of and to make a living off of. And you feel good at the end of the day, not tired. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, like being part of your community and providing to your community, making the area around you healthier, making people happy, healthy as much as you can. Well said. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Now, the way that looks to a patient, because you can't say that all the time to everybody, it takes a lot of breath, is one foundational thing. We believe that you deserve to know the truth about the state of your health so you can make smart decisions. That's it. And so what we try to do every day is get all the barriers that are in people's minds out of the way so that they can get to wherever they want to get. And then the other flip side of that is we have to help them have bigger goals. So that's, most people want 2 things when they call an office. Do you take my insurance? Can I get a cleaning? That's where they start. But the biggest thing that we've committed to as far as making breakthroughs is it's where they start. It doesn't mean they have to stay like that. So the more we can get them to think bigger on what they can do, the more you get people like these posters in our waiting room that have changed their smiles so dramatically that They look different, they walk different, they act different, they've got a different job, or they're better in the job they have. They're physically happier. I mean, you can feel it, like we talked about. That's the biggest mission. That's when it gets really fun.
Did you have kind of a moment of coming out of school to now where you decided, like, I need to make things more concise and clear like that, when it's like trying to communicate to patients, like, here's what we do here and here's why we do it?
Yeah. So, like, meaning, do you have a way that you can distill that down so a patient understands it? Is that kind of the question? Yeah, I do. I wouldn't say it's a moment. I think it was probably when you stare at enough patients and realize you said way too many words, you start to realize, like, oh man, what I'm saying is impactful, but I got to figure out how to say it more simply, because nobody's paying attention that long. Yeah. So yeah, there was probably many little moments where we realized that we had to simplify the message down quite a bit. And then the other flip side of that too, Dr. Haley, is we got bolder. And so anybody who has been comfortable around people or has been around people for a long term, they can understand this. The more comfortable you get around people and the more you trust people, the more direct you get with how you speak, which is not a bad thing as long as you know how to speak well. So yeah, we definitely were able to simplify it, but I think the way to do it was the more times you do it, the bolder you get, and then the simpler it gets.
Is there anything else you would say that's unique or special about how we operate here?
I mean, the people. Every person here, you can't say every day, right? People get tired. People have stuff going on at home. Weather's bad, car's broken, but most of the people, most of the time, want to be here, which is pretty powerful. I mean, it's about that simple. If you really focus on making the environment positive, special things happen. And one of the most special is all the people that you're working with want to work with you.
Yeah. Dentistry can be tough, but here's something that makes it a whole lot easier: an MDA membership. I can tell you firsthand how the MDA has helped me navigate everything from practice management to finding affordable continuing education. It's like having a team that's always rooting for you, providing resources, connections, and expert advice whenever you need it. And with free HR and legal consultations, I know I'm covered without worrying about steep fees. Secure your 2025 membership today at michigandental.org/2025.
Another thing you were talking about, patients call, can I get a cleaning? Do you take my insurance? Things like that. So we've recently been fully out of network in that transition. So how do you handle that conversation with patients?
Oh, that's a good question. Do you mean specific language, or how do you, in your mind, hold the courage to have the conversations no matter what the words are?
Well, let's do both. Okay. I guess it's both good things.
Yeah. So like, is the question, do you take my insurance?
Yeah.
The short answer is yes. Of course we do. Right? Because when you are out of network, which is very powerful, when you're out of network, you're unshackled from any of the burdens, which means most of the time, most insurances you can take. So odds are the answer is yes. What it doesn't mean is that you're going to take it the way everybody thinks you're going to take it, which is we'll bill stuff. We're going to cross our fingers that an insurance company pays us in a little bit. So yeah, the short answer is, the way I say it is, yeah, of course we do. We're not going to rely on them to get you healthy. We're going to use every dollar that they can give you, because you're lucky to have it and it's nice of them to have it. But insurance is made for maintenance. So like, a lot of times you have a line graph and you say, look, patient, up here's healthy. This is you. You've got to ante up to get there. They're not going to help you get healthy. They'll help you stay healthy when you get there, but there's got to be an ante up of energy. And then another good one, if you're looking for little like tactical language things, this is a little nuanced one, but that's kind of where all the magic is. I never just say the word money. And I always say the money word third, but I'll say time, energy, money. The last thing we want to do is waste your time, energy, or money, because that's really what it comes down to. And, you get into a little bit of like money mindset stuff, but if you can embody the fact that money is just stored energy, then it really makes life easier. Money is the most renewable resource in the world. You can always make more money. You can't make more time, and it's very hard to make more energy. So that's why I always put it third. And sometimes it's as simple as just saying those three things, right? Time, energy, money. It's never just money. So that's a big tactic that I like too.
And do you find for people, what are some of the common like barriers you see to people not wanting to fully get healthy?
I think the biggest one is, the short answer is there are no barriers, but the barriers that they put in front of them, it's usually they don't have a belief that they can figure out the money. They don't have a belief that they have found an office that they trust well enough yet to help them figure out the money. Or, there's some people that, as sad as it is to say, they're not ready yet to jump and go all in on getting healthy, right? Not being healthy and not feeling good is a really good excuse to not accomplishing things in life, right? And that's just a reality of it. Like, if you don't feel good, you've got an out. So there are some people, it's not everybody, but there are some people, they're just not ready to get fully healthy yet. So I think the big key is figuring out where the barriers are, but then meeting them where they're at. Always we have to show them state of ideal. Here's perfect. Are you going to get there? We don't know. Some people do, but we're sure as hell going to do you get a cuss?
Yeah, you're fine.
We're sure as hell going to give you the chance to walk that path. And that's really, that was a big breakthrough. You have not you, Dr. Haley does not have any bad habits, but we have a tendency to prejudge people. Yeah. Right. And say like, oh, this person's not going to go all in on this. This person's not going to be able to afford that, whatever it is. Right. And what I have found generally is if you just go in with a beginner's mind, like every patient's a new patient every time. What are you thinking? How you doing? You'd be surprised how often patients surprise you and figure ways out to do things. But the one we're looking at right now, up on our wall that had a full smile makeover, I think when she did that, she was out of work. She was looking for a job and she maybe had just got out of the hospital with something else and she figured it out. But she wouldn't have been able to do it if we didn't give her a chance. So I think that's the key. And this is where the job, all of you dentists or future dentists who are listening to the podcast, this is where you really start to get momentum in the job, is when you can develop the consistency to ask every time, every person, every day. That's really where it happens.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that was a good point to end this first episode on. So love it. Thank you so much for your time.
Wait, can I interview you?
Maybe in the next one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.